You're tuned into the Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Zeno Pucks. Here are your hosts, Andy and Brian Matusi.
I can't believe what an uneventful week this has been in the NHL. I haven't been this bored in a week of hockey in quite some time.
Did you not turn on your TV and watch the games or what?
No.
Oh, well, that'll do it. Yeah. You should have probably prefaced by saying it gets boring watching hockey when you're playing Battlefield 6 all week.
I don't think I like your attitude.
Well, they hate me because I spread the truth.
Yep. The truth hurts, man.
It does. Not as bad as the Oilers 9-1 loss to the Avalanche last night. I guess that's how we'll start this show. Look, obviously we know the Avs are good. We know the Oilers can be good. Last night was not an example of that, and it's quite simple. First of all, the Avalanche is, for a team that scored 9 goals, how they managed to go 0 for 7 on the power play blows my mind, but they've been kind of goofy all year. I mean, the record is really good, of course, but man, they've been all over the place. But for the Oilers, the record indicates not the strongest start to a season, and they look lost out there, man. They have no kind of vibe or mojo at all. They're just kind of there. And this 9-1 loss just puts an exclamation point on how lackluster their season is, especially by Oilers standards. This is probably a horrible start to the season.
Well, I say this all the time. You don't go 0 for 7 on power plays and expect to win hockey games. It
was the Avalanche that went 0 for 7. They just happened to score 9 goals. The Avalanche were the ones that were 0 for 7 on the power play.
Oh, dude, I swear you said Oilers.
No, it was the Avalanche. That's why everyone was like, God, the Avalanche could have had another 5-6 goals easy.
Well,
I mean, that game really couldn't. I mean, it did get away from them. It was a 9-1 blowout, but I mean, that could have been. I mean, we could have been talking like a historic amount of goals scored by one team in that game if the Avs could have figured it out on the power play.
By the way, that reminds me, and this is kind of off topic, but who holds the record for most goals in a game for a team? Is it Detroit?
We could probably find that out over the next few minutes.
I want to say it's Detroit with like 12 or 13 or something like that.
It's got to be quite a bit. Let's see. Oh, this is by a player, which is 7 goals in one game. Joe Malone on January 31st, 1920. The Quebec Bulldogs against the Toronto St. Patricks.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, the one we're after, let's see, actually the Quebec Bulldogs, same year too. March 3rd, 1920, Montreal Canadiens put up 16 goals in a single game against the Quebec Bulldogs.
Okay, well, let's do it in the era where all the teams that are involved the record exist.
I'm not a stats department. I'm a guy, so I don't have that kind of filtering available.
All right, Montreal then.
Yeah, so Montreal was 16, and the Avalanche again were on a path where they could have put up 16 if they could have scored on the power play. But that's just kind of where things are for the Oilers right now. It's been, I would say, far from a good start for the Oilers. Second last in the division, and the only reason they aren't last is because the Flames are so god-awfully bad. But yeah, I saw that game, and look where the Oilers are in the standings. Everything about the team is mid right now. The record's not great. The -10 goal differential. Their last 10, 4-3-3. They're in the middle of a 3-game losing streak. Like, nothing particularly is going well for a team that has supposed to have Stanley Cup aspirations. And you can actually, and this will actually carry perfect into what we're going to next. You can look at a team like the Ducks, who has had everything go their way, and you start to wonder what's really the difference, because it's not a lack of overall talent for the Oilers. I think landed them in this horrible spot, but they just seem to have no spark or energy to their game. I had to go back and watch a couple highlights from other losses they've had this year, and they just kind of look almost like dead. I don't even know how to describe it. It took McDavid a while to get going with the goals, and they're kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, the whole NHL season right now, everything is just all over the place, I guess. Nothing is going at all how I expected it to, with the exception of Detroit right now. But I mean, everybody's just kind of all over the place. Edmonton's, like you said, looking kind of, I mean, they're looking dead. I don't really have a better word to use here, but that's kind of how they look right now. I'm just, you've got these teams that, again, you're saying have hopes for being cup contenders, and they're coming out and playing like bottom 10 teams. It's I don't know what's going on right now. And then, like you said, you got the Ducks, who I think are blowing everybody's minds right now, far exceeding expectations. And we kind of pumped their tires a little bit to start the season, saying, hey, this place is headed in the right direction. But I think, again, this ultimately comes back to Joel Quenneville is behind the bench in Anaheim, and that goes a long way regardless of who your team is.
Well, and the Sharks have actually had a bit of an explosion lately too. They're really starting to piece it together. But the Ducks, the Ducks have won their last 6 games. They're 8-1 and 1 of their last 10. They're getting contributions up and down the lineup. Leo Carlson is on an absolute tear right now, which kind of rivals his young counterparts. And when you look at guys like Celebrini and Smith in San Jose, and Bedard and Nazar in Chicago, all those guys in that age group, it seems like that whole group is even starting to get it together. Even a guy like Shane Wright is really starting to get things going for Seattle, who, by the way, have jumped into a top 3 divisional spot. It just seems like so many of the predictions we made before the season started have already kind of been thrown out the window. I mean, look at Montreal; they're second in the league right now, which is crazy. Anaheim is knocking on the door too for having the best record. But a lot of these teams with young talent are really starting to get, like, a lot of these young guys are really starting to flourish with these teams already. Again, Anaheim, they're getting contributions everywhere. San Jose, now all of a sudden, almost like overnight, it seems like they're never out of a game after losing their first 6. Now they just can't stop winning. You look in the East again, Montreal has been unbelievable. The Bruins have now won 6 in a row, and they're 7-3 in their last 10, and they're getting contributions from everywhere in their lineup as well. So it's kind of weird how this season's coming together. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to tell you that Tampa has passed Detroit in the standings.
Well, hey, it is what it is.
No, I'm just
I
teasing.
enjoyed my run while I was on it. So,
but yeah, like a lot of teams with young talent are surging, and even the Penguins too, who, again, everybody kind of left for dead at the start of the season. I don't really think anybody had high hopes for them, but they're second in the conference by point totals. They're the only teams higher than them are Montreal and New Jersey, who have 1 more point than them.
I will say, I
think
think
they're playing well.
I was gonna say, I think right now Jersey is really the only team that's meeting my expectations. So
yeah, I think Carolina's about where I expect.
Yeah,
team
but we
like
know how that ends.
Yeah, well, exactly. The New York teams both kind of suck, which the Rangers, they still haven't won at home. 7 home games, and they still have not won a single one, and they've been shut out in 5. That's a way deeper dive going to be needed with them. The Capitals are just kind of in the middle. The Blue Jackets, who we'll get to later, are letting it slip away from. I don't want to say letting it slip away, but had a really bad week. So the standings are kind of all over the place. I mean, the only preseason prediction that has stood tall to this point is, that Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado going to be the big juggernauts in the Central, and they are. And it seems like everybody's kind of trying to find their footing. Utah's been really good, even though they've lost 2 in a row. They've been great. Chicago has well exceeded, I think, pretty much everybody's expectations. The Wild are slowly finding a pulse and are starting to put together some wins. Nashville and St. Louis in a bit of a different boat. Nashville's really starting to slide hard, and St. Louis just can't seem to get their feet under them. But largely, it just seems like this season, the youth has really filled out the score sheets. And I mean, the scoring race now is led by pretty much all rookies and Jack Eichel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what you want to see, though. I mean, you want to see these young guys start. I don't want to say delivering, but you want to start getting contributions from this young talent you have on your team, regardless of who you are. And it's nice to see, I mean, especially with teams like San Jose, things are starting to pay off for them, and they're starting to put all the pieces together, and it's starting to look good. So in that sense, I like what I'm seeing. It's these teams that we're expecting to do well that are playing like hell. And it's just weird. I do have to commend the Boston Bruins. They're really starting to turn it on right now. And I'm very happy to see that because I thought this was a team that was going to be in the ringer or getting run through the ringer for a while. So I'm glad to see them turn it in on, and I think Marco Sturm's been a great fit there too. So, but I digress. I think with these younger guys, I mean, these guys, especially you look at a guy like Celebrini, Will Smith, even these guys are the future of the NHL, not just their organizations. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see these guys contributing in the best way possible for these teams. And especially for San Jose, I'm excited to see how the rest of the season goes for them.
Yeah, I also want to comment on Montreal and Chicago too, because as much as they've been getting great scoring from their lineups, they've also been getting outstanding goaltending. And Montreal, I mean, Jakub Dobiš is a 920 right now. Montembeault has obviously kind of had a rough start to this year, but Dobiš has been great for them. And to your point, you made a big deal about this when this happened, but Spencer Knight in Chicago is a 926. I mean, he's the second best save percentage in the league. So as much as those kids are starting to fill out the score sheet in Chicago, they're getting support behind themselves, which, good goaltending will usually fuel good offense. When the puck's not constantly going in your net, it's easier for you to get possession and go score yourself. So, I mean, some of these teams are being propped up a little bit by great goaltending, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, to be a complete team, you need a good goalie. And so these teams are starting to see signs of what the very near success in the future is going to hold for them, or success in the very near future will hold for them. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, two teams that are really, everything's going right in Montreal and Chicago right now.
Yeah, and kind of piggyback off what you said about the goaltending, especially in Chicago. Look at Chicago as a whole this year. I mean, first off, I'm not going to toot my own horn about the Spencer Knight thing. I watched him play in Florida plenty. I knew what he was capable of, so I knew the kind of impact it would have on Chicago. But now he's performing to his full capability, and it's paying off. And it is a morale factor, like you said. It does generate good offense in the sense that you're not killing everybody's morale when you can't stop a beach ball. And I mean, you look at guys like Connor Bedard, who are noticeably happier this season. I mean, the guy doesn't look like someone just ran over his puppy every time they show him on the camera. It's going a long way, but like you said, they're getting contributions all over the place too. I mean, Tyler Bertuzzi had I think that was his first career hat trick actually the other night. I mean, Chicago's starting to look like they could be the real, I don't want to say a cup contender by any stretch, but they're looking like they're becoming more of a real deal. And I think that all goes back to the acquisition of Spencer Knight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, they certainly, they have a different feel to the team as a whole, but yeah, the great support behind the skating or the skaters has made the world of difference. And again, when your goalie's on, it gives you more confidence as a skater to be able to, have confidence to make bigger plays, go for the flashier looks, because even maybe if you make a mistake, your goalie's almost certainly going to have things covered up on the back end. So certainly it does a great deal of help when the team's getting that kind of support. So we'll see where Montreal and Chicago go from here. But again, if they can get any kind of consistency like this, they're going to give them, both of the teams are going to give themselves a great chance to win some games and potentially make the playoffs this year, which is crazy, because especially with Chicago, I would not have guessed that leading into this season. But with Montreal too, I mean, I verbatim said, I think, it may not be I don't remember if I said if it was going to be a good or bad season for them, but I did say, I thought they would come up just short. And if they play like this, not only are they not going to come up short, but they're going to have one of those top seeds in the Atlantic.
And that's one thing I love about the sport of hockey as a whole. No matter, we could be the most knowledgeable guys in the world, which we are very clearly not, but
whatever the furthest thing from that is. Yeah.
However, you can have all the knowledge about the sport in the world. You can have all the stats to back up your claims, everything. Ultimately, it comes down to everything is speculation. You just don't know how the season's going to play out for each team. And Jeff Rimmer brought up a great point too when we had him on the show, and it mostly applies to playoffs. The regular season is just a race for the playoffs. Once you make the playoffs, it doesn't matter what position you finish the regular season in. Now it's anybody's game. So, and that's one of the things I love about hockey is just how unpredictable it is. So again, I'm kind of intrigued to see where things up, especially for Montreal, because I was in the same boat with you for Montreal. And I think we all know that I don't like giving Montreal credit for anything, but you got to commend them where it's earned, and they're looking pretty good right now, man. So for me, as someone who dislikes the Habs, I hope that changes, but it's probably not going to.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
Well-
what I wanted to say real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, not real quick. It's been the elephant in the room for me. And I know people have asked me, and we have to talk about it on here, even if we don't do it right now. But you and I went and saw the women's national team's rivalry series between USA and Canada. So even if we don't do it now, we need to talk about that at some point because it was amazing.
No, that's actually perfect. We can do that real quick.
Yeah.
So and they actually U.S. just won the game in Buffalo too against Canada. That was a blowout 6-1. So yeah, we were at Rocket Arena in downtown Cleveland. Got to see the U.S. and Canada women's teams play each other as part of that rivalry series with, of course, the game in Cleveland and game in Buffalo. So kind of a unique experience, but definitely very cool. Obviously, myself being a fan of the Minnesota Frost, seeing all the ladies from, that were on that team that are also on Team USA. Really cool to get to see them play in person. But yeah, the experience was awesome. I thought the crowd energy was pretty good. Of course, the U.S. dominating that game essentially from start to finish made it a lot more enjoyable for us. Certainly made it anticlimactic, but it seemed like everybody in the arena was in a pretty good mood, regardless of who they were cheering for. It seemed like everybody was happy to, get to watch a game like this and kind of get that Olympic preview.
I think as a whole, it was just a great idea. It's another one of those things that falls in the category of growing the game. And we got to see some of the most elite hockey talent in the world right there too. Women's hockey I'm telling you, there are people out there that are like, oh, it's women's hockey, it's not as good. You could not be more wrong. That was some of the best hockey I've ever watched. I want to point out Abby Murphy had a hat trick, and Taylor Heisey had a point on every single goal that game.
Yep.
One of them being hers.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Don't forget Erin Frankel too. Except for that first goal she allowed, which was a power play goal, and she had, I think, 3 people fell right in front of her. I think 3 or 4 people just boom fell right in front of her, and it was just a slap shot that she really had no time to get a good read on. That was the only goal she allowed. It was early in the game, and then the ladies for the U.S. just shut it down the rest of the way. I mean, they go back. Taylor Heisey scores like a minute later to tie it back up, and then they just never took their foot off the gas. But Erin Frankel made some outstanding saves when that game was still very close that prevented Canada from potentially walking away with it. There was some. I felt like the U.S. controlled the play for the most part. I mean, the shots on goal would certainly lead you to believe that, but Canada had some really good chances where, like, I could feel my hands grab the armrest on the chair real tight because I thought they were about to give one up, and they just didn't. Frankel, she was just outstanding. So great performance by her. And for as upset as I was that neither of the ladies from the Frost goalie tandem were even in the lineup or in the roster. As much as that upset me, I mean, Erin Frankel's outstanding. So good for her and good for those ladies. And of course, as an American hockey fan, it was nice to get the win over our biggest rival.
Absolutely. And I got to check off an item on my hockey bucket list. I've never gotten to throw a hat on the ice for a hat trick ever in my life. And we were sitting 5 rows up from the glass. I couldn't get that hat off fast enough. And so that was my head was cold the rest of the game, but that's all right.
I decided not to bring a hat either.
Yeah, it was great though, man.
One time I don't wear a hat to the game. I can't tell you the last time I didn't wear a hat to a hockey game, and the one time I don't, we're sitting 5 rows up from the glass and they get a hat trick.
That was great though, man. I had an absolute blast. All I can tell you is when the Olympics come around, and I'm speaking to our listeners, not you, of course, because I know you will do this, but make sure you watch these ladies in the Olympics. It is some elite hockey, and it is fun to watch. On top of that, I also highly recommend watching PWHL games. They're great too. Pick a team.
That season's kicking off very soon.
Yes, sir. I'm telling you, it is good, sound hockey. I love it. I would go watch that series 10 times over again. I loved it, and I hope it's something that they continue to do moving forward, because I think it's one, it gives people who otherwise probably wouldn't have a chance to see them play who want to, but also gives people, again, it goes back to growing the game. I just think it's a really good thing, and it's the women's national team. You're representing the whole country. I loved hearing the USA chants throughout the game. It was a different atmosphere than I'm used to in hockey, but I loved every second of it, and it was a good crowd too. I think that's worth noting.
Yeah, and for the PWHL, by the way, season kicks off Friday, November 21st. First game is Minnesota versus Toronto in Minnesota. I assume that will be of course, doing the banner ceremony for the Frost back-to-back championships. So that'll be really cool. And then, of course, the new Seattle and Vancouver teams, the Torrent and the Golden Eyes, will be playing each other as well on opening night. So a couple things to look out for there. That'll be really exciting. Again, ready to get that league going. They've expanded the league itself. They're playing more games now. They've already pretty much committed to adding more teams after this season. So it seems like the health of the league is in a good spot, and it's starting to grow more and more. And, for all the kind of barriers or hurdles that women's pro hockey has run into over the last 15 years as far as trying to really get a stable league going. I mean, they've had a few different leagues over the last 10, 15 years to try and get the women's game to where it needs to be. And it finally seems like they've got a very successful blueprint here. These fans are showing up. And again, it's good to, people didn't know how it would go, or I shouldn't say know how it would go, but I don't think people realize the effect that this would have on young girls who look up to these pro players and see like, hey, I can do that too. I mean, for the longest time, we all grew up watching, men's sports, men's hockey, men's football, men's baseball, whatever. But it's nice to see, like, when we're at the game and you see these little girls idolizing these pro players on the ice because they're like, hey, I can do that one day. And I think that's really cool. So, I mean, hell, you and I both grew up idolizing athletes. It's just kind of the nature of the beast when you watch sports as a kid. And so for these girls to look up and see these women on the ice and they're outstanding athletes, I think it goes a long way. So hopefully this league continues to flourish because it's been exciting to watch. And it's really nice to start to get to know the names of these players as I watch more and more games and I get to see them in, international play even, but it's just really nice to see this all kind of coming together now.
Very nicely said, sir.
What else do we got on our list? We didn't have a ton today, which is...
No, we didn't. I mean,
unusual.
Like I said, it was kind of an uneventful week. Like, I wasn't bullshitting when I said that. Now, again, I didn't watch a single NHL game this week, but I did watch highlights. But I will say a lot of those were Bruins. The Bruins have just been
they've been really good.
I've been very impressed and very pleased with their performance lately. It hasn't been hard to watch. So, but again, I just think that comes back. I think a lot of that comes back to Marco Sturm. I do think he is a very good coach.
I was inclined to maybe pick on the Panthers, but it's just too hard to give them any shit. I mean, they are near the bottom of the standings, but they're missing two of their best players. It's really hard for me to dog on them that hard.
And Marchand's still looking real good.
And the Panthers are still at 500, so it's like it's hard to. I mean, it's definitely far from where they'd like to be, of course. But I think at least, from the inside, like from the Panthers' perspective, they're never going to say, well, we're okay with losing because we're missing guys. Like, they're always going to be like, no matter who's in the lineup, we need to be at our best. We need to play to win every game. And I get that, but missing the best two-way player almost arguably in the NHL's history and one of your top scorers as well is just not a formula for sustaining success. So I'm going to be very light with my not accusation. What's the word I'm looking for? With my criticism. Sorry. With my criticism of the Panthers, just because they're in it so deep right now with the injury bug going around. So again, it'll really, hopefully they can get Barkov back in time for the playoffs, but it's looking like that may not be in the cards for them. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, other than that, I mean, again, at some point, I think we're going to revisit again, these bottom of the barrel teams in the league. And really now it's narrowed down to 4 who I think are already in danger of letting the season slip away. You look at, again, St. Louis, Nashville, Buffalo, Calgary, Nashville, the wheels are really coming off the wagon quick there. That's one where they just cannot get out of their own fucking way night after night. And I think that's all coaching, but that's one we're going to have to do a deeper dive into. The Flames, ironically, who beat the Blue Jackets, who we're going to talk about in a bit. I mean, they just another team that's a disaster, though. I mean, ironically, I think they have wins over Columbus and Minnesota, so both teams I cheer for, ironically. But they just don't have any rhythm to their game. Dustin Wolf looks terrible. They can't score. So we're going to have to do more deep dives with these teams as the season unfolds. But as far as the rest of the league, like we opened the show with, it's been very exciting and very surprising to see almost all of these young stars, again, leading the league in scoring. It's all the young guys, Leo Carlson, Macklin Celebrini, Connor Bedard. Nazar has been really good. Carter Gautier's got 11 goals in Anaheim, which has really gone under the radar. I can't believe it took me checking the stats this morning to kind of find that out. So a lot of the game's young talent is really starting to flourish. And if at least American hockey fans, I don't know if this broadcasts in Canada or not, or no, I don't think so. Because I think it's an ESPN thing, but U.S. fans will know the commercial talking about the new golden ages here, or the next golden ages here. And it's just highlights of all the youngest players in the league. And then at the end, they throw Sid in there too, at the end of each of these. But it's all the game's young star talent. I think it's really cool. And I do think the game is in incredible hands right now. So it's good to see so many guys on so many different teams just lighting it up night after night after night.
Yeah, I concur. And I mean, it's what's going to keep things exciting. And I love the whole Sidney Crosby getting thrown in at the end thing. I love it. And I mean, the guy's just unreal, especially to still be playing at the level he is, at the age he is. He's just, I mean, there's a reason he's the greatest to ever play the game.
Yeah, he is an incredibly gifted hockey player. And every time I look at his stat lines for his career, I'm just always like, who the hell is this guy? So, all right, well, here, let's take a break real quick. We'll hear from Xenopucks, and when we come back, we'll close out the show with our Blue Jackets corner, as after we pumped the shit out of their tires last week, they just ran into 3 brick walls this week. We'll be right back.
It's hockey season, and you're looking to work on your stick handling or maybe even your shot, but ice time just isn't an option for you right now. Luckily, our buddies over at Xenopucks have got you covered. They've developed an elite off-ice practice puck that, in addition to looking like the real thing, is the same size and weight as a regulation hockey puck to give you that authentic feel on the end of your stick. It works better than other off-ice practice pucks on almost any surface, whether you use it on hardwood, carpet, concrete, or even asphalt. Xenopucks glide like a real puck on ice. So if you're looking to improve your game without setting foot on the ice, head over to www.xenopucks.com and get yourself a puck. Check out their merch selection and be sure to follow them on Instagram at Xenopucks. All right, so time to move on to something that I'm not exactly excited to talk about this week, and that is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Brian and I were talking during the break, and we pumped their tires last week, and then, as Brian mentioned before we went to break, they drove head on at 100 miles an hour to 3 separate brick walls. It's kind of got me worried for a team that was looking like they were starting to put it together. I don't know, where are you at on this?
Well, I mean, I think there's concern for any team when you are on such a roll and then you lose 3 in a row to opponents that you're vastly better than. So that's cause for concern for me. Now, I will say this: I guess we'll get to it when we get to that game. But let's kind of dissect these one by one. So the Islanders game last Sunday after we recorded, it just kind of seemed like they were overwhelmed. I mean, they were outshot 39-22. They were dog shit in the face-off circle. They were 0 for 4 on the power play. Pretty much anything that could go wrong for them in that game did. And you know what? Sometimes even the best teams, you're just going to have a shitty night like that. I mean, I don't want to put any of this on Elvis. I know he allows the 2 late goals in that one that cost them the game. But he was still really good, and the team in front of him has given up 40 shots. To me, that's not acceptable. So I know, again, that it slipped away from them at the last second, but really they were just never in control of the game. I mean, you look in the first period, they had 3 shots in the first period and 5 in the third. I mean, they were just some of the most crucial parts of the game. They were just getting overwhelmed the entire time. And again, I really don't want to hang that loss on Elvis. I know he allowed both of those goals, but the team just really never showed up, and the timing of those goals sucks. But those 2 goals could have been scored in any span throughout the game, and it wouldn't have made a difference. They gave up 40 shots.
Well, and you brought up a good point in there, unintentionally, I believe, but I just kind of want to elaborate on it real quick, because there are going to be so many people that are going to be in a hurry to crucify Elvis like they always are. And a lot of times it's justified, but bear this in mind. Elvis isn't the one giving up 40 shots. Okay, yeah, he let in 2 goals, but he has no control over the amount of shots that get fired at him. I mean, that's a team issue right there. And, you know, their lack of shots on goal, for that matter, is another thing. I mean, they've just kind of looked lifeless these last couple games, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on. And, you know, I got all fired up because they finally called up Luca Del Bel Blues, and again, they just kind of hit a brick wall. It's kind of sad.
And so they come off that effort against the Islanders, which absolutely a subpar effort in my eyes. But they go out and have a great game theoretically against Calgary. I mean, 43 shots on goal. There's almost 60% on the faceoff circle. Like a really solid game. But as much as I trash Dustin Wolf for his lack of performance in this one, he stops 42 out of 43. And of course, letting in 5 goals against one of the most anemic offenses in the league isn't great, but I think again that goes more. And this is an example of this one kind of hanging on the goaltending in the game. And I think Jet Greaves would be the first guy to tell you 25 shots against, you should not have 4 goals against.
Correct.
So it's just, that's one where you want your goalie to steal you a game. But again, Jet could have only allowed 2 goals and they would have still lost because Dustin Wolf only allowed the 1. So I don't want to hang that one entirely on Jet even too, because at the end of the day, they didn't score enough. But at the same time, they had the pressure, especially in that third period. I mean, they were really pressing. And I think part of that is score effects too. I think the Flames were, leading, and you naturally let off the gas a little as your lead increases more and more too. So I know that those numbers might be a little skewed, but overall it was a better effort in a general sense. But again, far from the result they want against the worst team in the league.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I said about things being unpredictable earlier too. I mean, anybody can beat anybody at the end of the day. Anybody can have a bad night, anybody can have a great night. And as far as not hanging it on the goaltender, especially in Jets' case, it's worth revisiting that the era of hockey we're in right now is the hardest era to be a goaltender in right now, just with how fast the game is and how talented everybody are in these shooters. And it's a completely different era of hockey. You think back like 10 years ago when the NHL couldn't shut up about how they need more scoring. They got their scoring now. Like, that's the era of hockey we're in. There's much higher scoring nowadays than there used to be. And it just goes to how the game has changed. So you also don't want to take a dig at these goalies. Now, 4 goals on 25 shots. Yeah, that's a bad performance in any era of hockey. But it's not like he's going out there and doing this routinely either. Like, sometimes it's just luck of the draw. Sometimes you just have a bad night. And in this case, that's what happened.
Yeah. And so the culmination of all of this is you come off 2 games where you're far from the result you want. They come out last night against Vancouver. I thought played a pretty good game for the most part. They're looking good until about halfway through the third period. Vancouver turns on, get it tied up about halfway through the third, and then take the lead real late too in that one. And again, Elvis with an identical stat line to Jet in the Flames game, 4 goals on 25 shots. That's just not good enough. I thought Saturday's effort was the most complete game they put together, even though they didn't have as many shots as they did in the Calgary game. I thought the attack was way more balanced for them, but again, letting those, I mean, that's a lead where you got to really, really apply some pressure when you're leading by 1 goal, midway through the third like that, and they just let it get away. And again, I think there was, what was the winning goal with like 5 minutes left? Let me find the game summary. Let's see here. Yeah, 14-15 of the third period was when when Brock Besser scored that goal to take the lead. And actually, I got my goals mixed up. They were tied to start the third. They gave up the lead and then got it tied back up halfway through, but then they gave up the late one. So I'm all out of order. But yeah, again, you're in a situation like this where you're probably playing your best game all week. Small sample size, but it's probably the best game they played. And again, they just can't keep it out of the net, and kind of put a nasty ending to an already bad week for them. So I think going forward, they're just really going to have to suck it up and get over themselves, because it's not going to get easier too. You look at their schedule next month the rest of this month, and here's what they got. They have at Edmonton back-to-back with at Seattle. Then they come home, play the Oilers, Rangers, and Canadiens on a 3-game homestand. And then a back-to-back, they go to Winnipeg, then to Toronto, then to Detroit, then to Washington. Then they come back home and close out the month against the Leafs, which we will be at that game on the 26th.
We will.
And then the 28th against the Penguins. So this doesn't get easier for them. And I don't like to do things like this where we go and pick apart each loss they had, But when you look at the issues they had all week and then look at what's ahead of them on the schedule, I mean, they could potentially be in it pretty deep here. I want to say the game against the Rangers is probably a gimme. But I thought the game against the Flames and the Islanders would be too, and they lost both of those. So I think that the option here is to just nut up and charge through what's ahead and don't dwell on the past.
Yeah, well, that's exactly where I'm at. I'm far less concerned with these last 3 games than I am for what's coming. There's not a team that they're about to play, with the exception of maybe the Rangers, where I'm like, yeah, all right, this should be fine. It's not. It's gonna be a battle. And especially like against teams like Washington, Toronto, Montreal. I mean, they're going up against all these teams that are good right now. So it's not. I mean, if they continue to play the way they have, it's not a good outlook in my book.
No, and I think they will correct this. And again, I don't think Jet and Elvis will both continue to, have bad performances or anything like that. But these are good teams mostly that they're going to be playing, and teams that, like, you look at a team like Detroit's a perfect example. They're having a pretty good start to the season. They've kind of slipped the last week in some change, but they're still very much a team that's in this mix here, and they're going to keep fighting to solidify their spot in the standings. So and again, the Rangers, another example. Yeah, they're having a rotten start and they can't win at home, but they're still in the mix. They're going to be fighting like hell too. So while I think the Jackets should be able to beat them, again, it's not a gimme. And honestly, the Rangers on the road this year are 7-2. And so even though they haven't won at home, I mean, they can win. So that game against the Rangers is a home game. I mean, they could be getting a tough opponent. So like I said, none of these are gimmies. And that's why, even though this week was so shitty, all 3 games have just nasty, sour taste to them. There's not really time to dwell on it. They're just going to have to say, you know what, we got our shit kicked in for a week. Now we're going to go out and beat everybody's ass for the next couple of weeks. I mean, that is the option. So I'm hoping these guys take this by the reins and just run everybody over the rest of the month and get really back into the thick of this playoff race. Cause I think they can be a huge part of, I think they can make it into the playoffs and potentially make an impact against whoever they play.
And it's funny that we're even having this conversation right now, because it feels like this is happening throughout their entire organization, because the Monsters have been even worse, I would argue. The Monsters haven't even won at home yet. And it's been the same thing. You're not hanging it on the goalie. It's been the lack of offense. And I mean, that's every game I've gone to this year. It looks the same. So it's running rampant throughout the entire Jackets organization right now. And it's just like, what's the fix here? I mean, obviously, I hate to sound like every player during an intermission interview, but you got to get pucks on net at some point. That's a lot of what it comes down to. Be smarter in your own zone too. Don't allow 40 shots on your own goalie, but you got to put pucks on net too. I mean, your offense is just as important in here, if not more. If your goalie stands on your head, but you don't score, it doesn't matter.
This is an excellent opportunity for Dean Evison to show that he's for real too, because a good coach is going to be able to kind of help rally the troops and pull his team out of this rut. I'm not saying he's responsible for getting on the ice and physically making them score, but when you go through not dark days, but when you go through rough patches like this, it falls on the leadership within the room too, but a lot of this falls on the coach to be like, all right, look, it sucked. We can't go back and change it. All we could do is, be ready for each next game and play our best game in that. And a lot of the times that's going to be what separates a great coach from a good one. And this is going to be Dean's chance to show that he's for real as an NHL coach. I mean, as important as this season is for the team, I think it's equally as important for Dean, because again, he's had several head coaching jobs between the NHL and the minors. It's not like this is his first go around with any team. So I think this is a golden opportunity for him to show what he's got.
I'm with you 100%, man. And I really want it to work out for him and the organization. Like I really want him to be successful here. And I think he is capable of doing just that.
Yeah. And I shouldn't say that his job's in danger. I don't feel like it is. I'm just saying this is the chance for him to really, dig his hooves into the ground and be like, I ain't fucking going anywhere. This team ain't going anywhere. We're good. We're getting through this.
Yeah, but as far as his job not being in danger or being in danger, you never know. Like Rim said when he was on the show, the first year Paul Maurice was the head coach in Florida, if they would have missed the playoffs that year, the owners already had the meeting scheduled to let him and Bill Zito, the GM, go. So, I mean, you never really truly know. So, I mean, it would behoove him to do the best that he can right now because you just don't know at the end of the day.
Yeah. So we'll see where the team goes from there. But for now, I think we'll ease up on him a bit again. It is still early enough in the season, and with a 500 record at this point, there's nothing is too far away. So they're just gonna have to play some really good puck the next couple of weeks, and then it'll all even itself out. So unless you got anything else, I think we're all wrapped for this week.
I got a couple things to say that aren't necessarily related to anything we talked about.
Yeah, go for it.
The first thing I just want to say, I brought it up a couple times on the show, but if you're listening now and you haven't already, make sure you go back a couple weeks and check out our episode where we had Jeff Rimmer on. If you're listening, you don't know, Jeff Rimmer was the TV play-by-play commentator for the Columbus Blue Jackets for 20 seasons, one of the best to ever do it. So knowledgeable, such a wonderful human being, and we truly enjoyed having him on the show. It was my favorite episode ever, I think, and that's not a dig at anybody we've had on this show before, but it was just nice to hear it from a guy who called the game for so long and hear the knowledge and the insight that he had. It was just so fun. So make sure you go back and check that out. Additionally, this is I guess I'll call it free advertising. And I'm doing this for a friend, but just so you know, Brian and I have said this before, and I will continue to say it again. I will never put an opinion out there or back something that I don't truly believe in. And we've even on this show, we've told sponsors, no, thank you, just because it's not something that I believe in. But for this, there's a new album out right now. It's called Death's Dowry, and it's by a duo called Lighting and Van Kamen. Two great guys, two extremely talented musicians. It's a very mellow indie album. Real good music if you're just trying to relax, chill out. The music itself, it's supposed to be kind of depressing, but it's very well done musically. It's just exceptional. The amount of time that they put into this album, even the album artwork itself, everything is just great. So again, that's Lighting and Van Kamen. The album is called Death's Dowry, and anywhere you can stream music is where you'll find it. I'll put a link to it in the show's description. Make sure you guys go check that out. Give them a listen. Hell, even leave them a review. They're always open to feedback. And from what I understand, it's going pretty well for them. But I was a big fan. So if you're into indie and all that stuff, check it out.
Yeah. Your musical opinion shouldn't go without weight either. You've been a
Correct.
drummer for over 30 years, and you've been able to play guitar. You started playing guitar 20 years ago, so you know music extremely well.
Yeah, but I don't want to toot my own horn.
No, that's why I'm tooting. You're an excellent drummer.
Well, thank you. But yeah,
you're pretty good a guitar player too, but you can tell you were born to be a drummer.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I've been playing my whole life, and I'm self-taught on guitar. I took actual professional lessons for drums.
That is true. Yeah.
So,
and our father's an excellent drummer.
That is true. So, and obviously I'm biased, but I obviously think he's one of the best drummers ever.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, he really is. And, but yeah, seriously, check them out. They're very great. In addition to that, as far as the show is concerned, make sure you're following us on social media. Facebook and Instagram is at Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. You can follow us on TikTok at Fresh Ice Pod. If you have any questions you want to get in, you want us to read on the show, or even if it's not a question, you just want to say something, throw in your own input, we'll be happy to read it on the show. You can send us an email. The email address is freshicehockeypodcast@gmail.com. We would be more than happy to read it or answer your questions or anything like that. We're always open to it. Obviously, we love talking hockey, and I know Brian echoes that as well.
Oh, big time.
So I think other than that, I think we're all wrapped up for this week. It was a pretty short episode, which is fine by us. Gives us a chance to get on with our Sunday. And yeah, so we'll have some more for you guys next week. But until then, make sure you tune into the games this week. I know I will. And we'll see you guys next week.